Whenever you come in here and interrupt me, you're breaking my concentration. You're distracting me. And it will then take me time to get back to where I was. Understand?
Yeah.
Why don't you start right now and get the out of here?
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Benny. A wise man once told me that what happens on college campuses will eventually bleed over into the halls of Congress. And as you see, libs and leftists scream about safe spaces and about getting their feelings hurt and getting triggered on college campuses. And when they don't get their way, they will literally throw themselves onto the floor and start screaming like a child. That actually has come true now in the halls of Congress. You can see here in the censure of Adam Schiff that Democrats effectively stood on the floor of the House and yelled at Kevin McCarthy and screamed and cried and wailed and ripped their clothing, although not many people want to see them naked, in the House, and they started screaming at Kevin McCarthy. But what we didn't know behind the scenes is that Kevin McCarthy is super duper low key based in this moment. Check this out. Apparently, Kevin McCarthy told Eric Swalwell, who was leading that little riotous group of simps and virgins, that he'd kick out of them during a heated conversation. Uh-oh. What happened here? Let's go to the original reporting. You are a... McCarthy and Swalwell get into House floor feud. Okay, so what happened? Apparently, during this clip, there was a direct stare down between Kevin McCarthy and Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell, in this exchange, which can be seen, says to McCarthy from the dais, "You are pathetic. You are a weak, weak man," and you can essentially hear it in the clip. Check this out.
To consider is laid on the table.
Okay, so here we go.
In order.
You can hear them chanting shame. Like a Game of Thrones episode. Who's gonna ring the bell? Oh man, I don't want to see any of them walk naked through the streets. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to fast forward here to the 3-minute mark, according to the article. That's when you can hear and see the stare down between McCarthy and Swalwell.
Representative of the shift.
You can hear it right there. You're weak. You're weak. You're a weak, weak little man. Okay, so that's audible on camera. What you cannot hear and what you did not see was the interaction that took place afterward. Okay, so you can hear Swalwell saying, "You're a weak man." Okay, so this exchange was conveyed to the Daily Beast by two different lawmakers. Here's how it goes. Apparently, when Eric Swalwell was seen by Kevin McCarthy later on, McCarthy said, "If you ever say something like that to me again, I'm going to kick the out of you." The member claimed to the Daily Beast. So this is what the reporting has come from another member of Congress. Another member who witnessed the exchange provided even more context. They were at each other's faces, basically nose to nose, and Swalwell says something like, "Are we really going to do this?" Which would be not smart because the Speaker of the House is number 3 in line for the presidency and has their own security detail. So Eric Swalwell would get absolutely wiped. Eric Swalwell farts on TV, and so maybe he does need a wiping. After some back and forth, the chest puffed out. McCarthy issued a challenge to Swalwell. "Call me again and I'll kick your ass," the Speaker allegedly said. Both members were nearly identical. Both members have nearly identical versions of the story. They both said Swalwell's response was the same way. "You are a," said Swalwell. Well, first off, that's gendered language, and how dare he say that, and that's very against women. For Eric Swalwell to do such a thing is terrible. And we know that Eric Swalwell, of course, has his own proclivities towards women. We know that Eric Swalwell has a certain flavor of woman that he likes. That woman should come from the Communist Party of China, from the CCP themselves, and be named Fang Fang. As we can hear now from the House floor, there's probably a reason why Eric Swalwell is so prickly these days because he's getting called out for his affair with a Chinese spy.
Madam Speaker, Democrat policies are so pathetic and have done so poorly that the left has nothing else to do but troll the internet looking for ways to get offended and then try to target members and strip them of their committees. This is a dumb waste of the House's time. But since the Speaker has designated the floor to discuss members' inappropriate actions, shall we? The Jihad Squad member from Minnesota has paid her husband, and not her brother husband, the other one, over $1 million in campaign funds. This member is allowed on the Foreign Affairs Committee while praising terrorists. A Democrat chairwoman incited further violence in the streets outside of a courthouse. And then the cherry on top. My colleague and 3-month presidential candidate from California, who is on the Intelligence Committee, slept with Fang Fang, a Chinese spy. Let me say that again. A member of Congress who receives classified briefings was sleeping with the enemy. This is unacceptable, and this would never
Gentlemen,
be...
time's expired. Gentleman from Florida.
Ms. Rodriguez, I apologize that you had to. You're here for a hearing on the border. They don't want to talk about a border. Mr. Swalwell is down there. Obviously, everybody knows he's made some comments. He's got a checkered past. He's alleged relationships.
A checkered past? I would ask.
It's my time. Alleged affairs, relationships with
No,
Yum
sir. You
Yum.
don't get to say that shit. That's not
He had
true.
alleged relationships with Yum Yum.
I asked the gentleman's words to be taken down.
You don't get to say that, pal.
Yes, the gentleman's words to be taken down. He's guessing a slur on another member.
Well, I am here.
He's making
Relationship with Yum Yum. He's getting it from all sides.
And to denounce anti-Semitism and anti-police rhetoric in this country so that Jewish Americans and police officers can be safer?
Congressman, I do.
Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and now I recognize the gentlelady from Georgia, Miss Green.
That was quite entertaining from someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it. But
I move to take our words down. Completely inappropriate. Yeah, stand by just a second while we research the rule. Give me just a second.
So Eric Swalwell was, of course, ended up being removed from the Intelligence Committee because of his affair with a Chinese spy. Yum Yum, Fang Fang, Bang Bang. It's so hysterical, so funny, and it's still not the most humiliating thing that ever happened to Eric Swalwell. That is when he crapped his pants on TV.
Evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from...
How do you come back from that? You don't come back from that, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Swalwell, such a degenerate loser, such a sad little man, and I love how McCarthy has it out for him. And McCarthy is apparently challenging him to a fight. I would pay to see that. I would almost want to see that instead of the Elon Musk-Zuckerberg fight. But, you know, Eric Swalwell has already had it kicked by McCarthy in this verbal exchange. Watch.
Intel committee. Is Santos on the Intel committee? Am I allowing Schiff to be on other committees? Go right ahead.
Respectfully, thank you. Because you have direct power over who goes on the Intelligence Committee, you also will be able to raise for your full House, taking off other Democrats, perhaps Representative Omar. But you said that lying to us is something that means you should be removed from the Intelligence Committee. But why is it not a factor?
Well, let me be very...
This is a man who should not be on committee, something you do have power over.
He's got elected by his district, so... Okay, let me be very clear and respectful to you. You ask me a question. When I answer it, it's the answer to your question. You don't get to determine whether I answer your question or not, okay? In all respect. Thank you. No, let's answer her question. You just raised a question. I'm going to be very clear with you. The Intel Committee is different. You know why? Because what happens in the Intel Committee, you don't know. What happens in the Intel Committee, although the secrets are going on in the world, other members of Congress don't know. What did Adam Schiff do as the chairman of the Intel Committee? What Adam Schiff did, use his power as a chairman and lie to the American public. Even the Inspector General said it. When Devin Nunes put out a memo, he said it was false. When we had a laptop, He used it before an election to be politics and say that it was false and said it was the Russians, when he knew different, when he knew the intel. If you talk to John Radcliffe, DNI, he came out ahead of time and says there's no intel to prove that, and he used his position as chairman, knowing he has information the rest of America does not, and lied to the American public. When a whistleblower came forward, he said he did not know the individual, even though his staff had met with him and set it up. So no, he does not have a right to sit on that. But I will not be like Democrats and play politics with these, where they removed Republicans from committees and all committees. So yes, he can serve on a committee, but he will not serve on intel, because it goes to the national security of America. And I will always put them first, all right? And if you want to talk about Swalwell, let's talk about Swalwell, because you have not had the briefing that I had. I had the briefing, and Nancy Pelosi had the briefing from the FBI. The FBI never came before this Congress to tell the leadership of this Congress that Eric Swalwell had a problem with a Chinese spy until he served on intel. So it wasn't just us who were concerned about it. The FBI was concerned about putting a member of Congress on the intel committee that has the rights to see things that others don't because of his knowledge and relationship with a Chinese spy. They brought it to the works of the leaders. I've got that briefing. So I do not believe he should sit on that committee. And I believe there's 200 other Democrats that can serve on that committee. So this has nothing to do with Santos. Santos is not on the Intel Committee. But you know what? Those voters elected Schiff, even though he lied. Those voters elected Swalwell, even though he lied to the American public too. So you know what? I'll respect his voters too, and they'll serve on committees. But they will not serve on a place that has national security relevance, because integrity matters to me. That's the answer to your question.